What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Game Day with Trey. Of course, this is your host, Trey, and today we're going to talk about this Monday Night Football NFL matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. All right, so this game will be kicked off at Ford Field in Detroit at 8:15 p.m. East Coast time on September 30th. All right, the Lions had a little movement, right? So at one point in time, the line was Detroit minus 3.5. Over under was set at 49. Then the line had a little bit of move, okay, to the downwards. Okay, so yes, Detroit Lions are now minus 4, but the over under has went down to 47, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at this matchup. So the Seattle Seahawks coming into this one looking to build on their 3-0 start for the year after picking up a 24-3 victory over the Miami Dolphins last time out, guys. When you're talking about what they did on their last time out, so in the first quarter, Seattle came out and skunked them 17-3. All right, so that pretty much set the tone for the rest of the game, because literally it was 0 points for both teams in the second quarter, 0 points for both teams in the third quarter. The fourth quarter, Seattle came out and put a bow or a ribbon on this thing and put up an extra 7. So ended up being 24-3. Okay. Skylar Thompson went 13 for 19 for a total of 107 yards, whereas Geno Smith went 26 for 34 for 289 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Devin Achane went for 11 carries and 30 yards, and Zach Charbonnet, he went for 18 carries, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns, guys. All right. Then when you look at Tyreek Hill had 3 receptions for 40 yards, and DK Metcalf, he had 4 receptions, 104 yards, 1 touchdown, guys. Time of possession, Seattle actually owned the time of possession 31 minutes and 28 seconds to 28 minutes and 32 seconds. They whooped them in the total yards 370 to 205. Seattle lost the turnover battle 2-0, and they won the first down battle 21-0. Now, when you come out first down, what they did first down, Seattle threw 13 times out of the 13 times and ran the ball 7 times versus Miami's inconsistency of passing the ball 8 times and running the ball twice on first down, guys. Third down efficiency. Seattle forced Miami to go 1 for 12 on third down, but Seattle didn't do too much better. They went 3 for 11. And then when you look at total penalty yards, okay, despite the fact that they lost the turnover battle, they also lost the sack. They won the sack battle. So Seattle sacked Miami 6 times for 46 yards, and Seattle was sacked 3 times for 19 total yards, guys. All right. So when you're looking at these two teams, you also got to kind of figure out what Detroit did and really what Seattle's done over the season. So Geno Smith has thrown for 787 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions on 74.8% passing, while Zach Charbonnet has a team-high 141 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. DK Metcalf leads Seattle's receiving corps with 262 receiving yards, along with 17 receptions and a pair of touchdowns, while Jackson Smith-Njigba, he has 17 receptions, 175 yards, and Tyler Lockett, he's coming in third, also with 13 grabs, 138 yards as well this season. On defense, Rayshawn Jenkins leads Seattle with 26 total tackles, including 18 solo tackles. Julian Love has a team-high 19 solo tackles, and Boye Mafe, who is questionable in this game, and Derek Hall each have a team-high 3 sacks as well on this year. As a unit, Seattle's defense is combined for 11 sacks and a pair of interceptions this season. All right. Now, when you're looking at Detroit, though, the Detroit Lions will be out to build on the 20-13 win over the Arizona Cardinals in their last matchup. Okay. In that last matchup, man, it went 7-7 in the first quarter, 13-3 Detroit in the second quarter, 0-0 in the third quarter, and then, Arizona went in and put up 3, tried to kind of fight back, but it ain't happened, man. You know what I mean? Jared Goff went out there and slung the ball 18 times. He went 18 for 23 for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Whereas Kyler Murray, he went for 21 for 34 for 207 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Montgomery, 23 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Kyler Murray, 5 carries, 45 yards. And St. Brown, 7 receptions for 75 yards and 1 touchdown. Whereas Marvin Harrison Jr., he had 64 yards on 5 receptions for 1 touchdown. Detroit did outgain Arizona 373 total yards to 277 total yards. The turnover battle was equal at 1-1, but Detroit won the first down battle 23-17, and Detroit won the time possession 36 minutes and 49 seconds to 23 minutes and 11 seconds. On first down, Detroit came out and passed the ball 11 times and ran the ball 12 times, whereas Arizona came out and passed the ball 10 times and ran the ball twice. Whenever you get out of sync like that, the game is out of reach. You've already let the game get out of reach just through play call. Just to let y'all know for in-game betting purposes, guys. All right, now, third down efficiency. Detroit went 6 for 12 on third down. Arizona went 1 for 9, man. Okay. Fourth down, of course, Detroit went to 0 for 1 like they usually do, or sometimes they'll go 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, but they went 0 for 1 this time, and Arizona went 0 for 2 on fourth down. As far as sacks were concerned, Jared Goff only got sacked twice for 13 yards, whereas Arizona, Kyler Murray got sacked once for 7 yards, guys. There were 0 fumbles this game, so you don't really have to look into that. All you have to do is understand what's been happening for the season for Detroit. And for the season, Jared Goff has thrown for 723 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions on 66% passing, while David Montgomery has a team-high 231 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and Jahmyr Gibbs has added 207 rushing yards and a touchdown as well. Now, Jameson Williams, he leads Detroit's receiving group with 209 receiving yards and a touchdown, while Amon St. Brown, he just has 21 receptions for 207 yards, guys. He's only down by 2 yards to Brown right now. So that lets you know what's going on over there. There's 2 guys that are leading the way right now, man. And on defense, Brian Branch leads the Lions with 22 total tackles, while Aiden Hutchinson has a team-high 6.5 sacks, and Carlton Davis III, he has a team-high 17 solo tackles, man. That's Todd Bowles' protege right there. You know, Kirby Joseph also has a pair of interceptions for the Lions defense this year, guys. So when you're looking at this team, you got to look at the actual matchup and how they've actually been playing out there on the field. So right now, or actually, we'll start with the injury report. Injury report, you got Byron Murphy II. He's going to be out with the hamstring injury for Seattle. He's not going to play. Of course, Leonard Williams not going to play. He's out dealing with that knee injury. Boye Mafe, he's out this game, guys, dealing with the knee injury. Okay, Nwuse, he's out, suffering from a sprained MCL. Kenneth Walker III is probable with the oblique, so you'll probably see him tonight. But outside of that, you got Brady Russell, Jerome Baker, and Tyrell Dodson, all questionable. And then when you go down to Detroit, Sam Laporta is finally probable. He exited the previous contest with a low ankle sprain, but he is expected to play against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday, guys. That is tonight. All right, Dan Skipper, he's questionable with the hampered with the rib. All right, of course, you know Ragnow, he's out with the pectoral. He suffered a torn pectoral injury and is not expected to play in this game. Brian Branch, he's questionable with the concussion that he was hobbled by. Unknown if he'll be active in this game. Then when you look, Broderick Martin, he's also questionable with the leg injury. He's still missed the last 2 games with that leg injury. Penei Sewell, he's questionable, hampered by the ankle injury. I'm pretty sure you probably will see him tonight. Alex Anzalone, he's questionable with the concussion. Rackstraw Jr., he's questionable with the hamstring. Glasgow, he's questionable with the knee injury. Like, there's injuries all over the board for both of these teams already so far this season. So it's a lot to look into and a lot to understand in this game. Looking up at the matchup right now, right? So Seattle's averaging 24.3 points per game. That's 9th best in the NFL, whereas Detroit only gives up 17.7 points per game. That's the 8th best in the NFL. Strong matchup there, guys. Then you're looking at yards per game. Once again, it's the 9th versus the 8th total defense and offense in the NFL. Third down. This is where the rubber meets the road. On third down, Seattle only converts 36.84% of their third downs. That's 20th in the NFL. Detroit's number 1 in the NFL on third down. They only allow opposing teams to convert 25.81% of the time, guys. Then when you look at red zone, Seattle is middle of the pack 50% of the time. That's 17th in the NFL. Detroit, if they allow you to get to the red zone, they're middle of the pack as well, 50%. So that gives opportunity for Seattle, but they got to get over that hurdle with the third downs, guys. Then when you look at Detroit's offense averages 20.7 points per game, whereas Seattle's defense only gives up 14.3 points per game. So I would lean towards Seattle in that effort. Seattle has the number 1 defense in the NFL when it comes to opposing yards on offense given up, guys. They had the number 2 defense in the NFL when it comes to third down. They only allow teams to convert third downs 26.09% of the time. Thing about it is Detroit has the number 4 total overall offense on third down conversions, converting 45.24% of the time, guys. And then when you look at the red zone, though, that's the problem. In the red zone, Detroit only turns it into a touchdown 38.46% of the time. That's 29th worst in the NFL. And then when you look at Seattle, man, that's where they capitalize at. They actually only allow teams to throw a touchdown or score a touchdown 30% of the time in the red zone. That's 4th in the NFL, man. You know what I mean? So those types of things do convert. When you look at how Seattle likes to try to run the ball, well, that's not happening. Seattle ain't been running the ball yet this year. They average 3.9 yards per carry versus the number 2 overall rush defense in the NFL being Detroit, allowing 3.6 yards per carry and only allowing 76.7 yards per game, guys. Now let's look over at Detroit. Detroit wants to run the ball. They average 4.8 yards per carry, and Seattle's going to give you 4.4. All right. Then when you look at total yards, man, once again, number 4 total yards offense in the NFL on the run, 163 yards per game on the ground. That's number 4 in the NFL. Whereas Seattle's giving up 116. That's middle of the pack, guys. And then you look past it. So Seattle does want to try to pass the ball, and that's where their advantage comes in at. They get 7.2 yards per pass. That's number 9 in the NFL, going against the 14th opposing pass defense in the NFL, giving up 6.4. All right, and then Detroit gives up 216.7 yards per game in the air versus Seattle's 246.7. Then when you look at opposing completion, Detroit allows you to convert or complete 65.69% of your passes, and Seattle's only completing number 2 in the NFL at 74.76, guys. All right, so. And when you look at the inverse, man, Seattle's defense is biting against the pass. They only allow 3.9 yards per pass, and they only allow opposing quarterbacks to throw for 132.3 total yards and completing 60.4. All right. Detroit, they're only completing 60.36, guys. So that should tell you a lot about this game, man. It's going to be pass versus run. It's going to be defense on both sides, guys. So when you look at that last 3 games, or not last 3 games, but away home, Seattle on the road averages 23 points per game and gives up 20 points per game. Whereas Detroit at home averages 21 points per game and gives up 20 points per game, guys. So it's not a lot to see there, except for the fact that you know it's going to be a hard-fought, close game, man. When you're looking at situationally right now, we know Seattle's 3-0, but Detroit is coming in as 2-1. And against the spread, Seattle is 1-1-1, whereas Detroit is 2-1. And then in this situation on the road, Seattle pushes, and as a home team, Detroit is 1-1. All right, so when you look as over-unders, Seattle's 2 to the over, 1 to the under, but all Detroit games go under because they play that lockdown since it's D, guys. All right, and at home, of course, it's gone under twice, and on the road for Seattle, it did go over the one time. In the last 10 times, these teams have been actually out here on the field, man. Seattle is 6-4 straight up, 4-4-2 against the spread, 5-4-1 against over-under. So 5 to the over, 4 to the under with 1 push in the last 10 times they've been out there on the field. So far this season, like I said, they're 1 to the under and 2 to the over on the over-under is concerned. Their next 3 games are the Giants, San Francisco, and Atlanta, guys, coming up. Now, when you're looking at Detroit is 7-3 straight up, 8-2 against the spread, and 5 to the over, 5 to the under in their last 10. All right, so Detroit has 3 straight unders in their last 10, so it's 3 straight unders so far this season. They're playing straight lockdown D, like I told you before. Okay. This will be their hardest test besides the Bucs so far this season, and it's going to be at home, so that kind of helps them a little bit, guys. All right, so in their next 3 games, they play Dallas, Minnesota, and Tennessee, although they do have a bye after this game. So that does give them a chance to break and heal up a little bit. So when you look at trends in this series or how these two teams are playing or whatever like that, head-to-head in the last times that they have played, right now, Seattle runs at 8-1. Last time they played was last season, September 17th, and in Detroit, and Seattle won 37-31 in overtime. Seattle covered the 5 points that they were giving up, and it went over the 47.5. All right, just so you know, that was last year. And Seattle's on a 6-game win streak against them and a 5-game cover streak against them. It went over 3 times in a row, the last 3 times they didn't play. And that's 22, 22, and in 23. All right, so yeah, these guys are very familiar with each other. These coaches aren't really, because Detroit does have a new coach, but still none the same. The players are very familiar with each other, guys. All right, so when you're looking at this and you're looking at the trends of these two teams, we have to look first that Seattle has hit the first quarter money line in 5 of their last 11 away games. Detroit has covered the spread in 16 of their last 21 games. Seattle Seahawks have covered the third quarter spread in 11 of their last 17 games, and the Detroit Lions have hit the third quarter game total over in 14 of their last 19 games. Seattle Seahawks have covered the first half spread in 8 of their last 11 games, away games, and Detroit has covered the first half spread in 15 of their last 21 games. The Seattle Seahawks have hit the money line in 13 of their last 21 games, and the Detroit Lions have hit the money line in 15 of their last 21 games. Seattle Seahawks have covered the first quarter spread in 7 of their last 11 away games, and the Detroit Lions have hit the first half money line in 15 of their last 22 games. Seattle has hit the first half money line in 7 of their last 11 away games, and Detroit, they have hit the game total over in 14 of their last 21 games, guys. All right, so what you need to know is the reason that Seattle could win this game is the Seahawks have won each of their last 10 week 4 games. Lions have lost each of their last 5 week 4 games against NFC West opponents. Seahawks have covered the spread in 7 of their last 8 week 4 games, and the Lions have failed to cover the spread in 6 of their last 7 games as favorites following a road win. Then when you talk about Detroit, they've won each of their last 9 games against opponents on a win streak. The Seahawks have lost 4 of their last 5 September road games against NFC North opponents, and the Seahawks have failed to cover the spread in 5 of their last 6 games. The Lions have covered the spread in 9 of their last 11 games in September. I'm not gonna lie, I'm on the Lions here, guys. I get why Seattle Seahawks are worth a look, and why that the 3-0 team and this and that and the third. I just think it's fool's gold right now at a level of competition that the Seahawks have seen. And in my personal opinion, I just think that the Lions have a solid offensive line and a very underrated defense, in my opinion. So I like Detroit minus the 4, but I would buy it down to 3 or 3.5, guys, so you can get a push if it comes down to that. I'm definitely looking at unders in this game if I'm looking team totals. But I'll pin in my comments what I got, guys. Y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe, man. I'ma holler at y'all. See you at the window. Peace.